Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, we're tackling the topic of the 10-year-olds taking over Sephora. You've probably seen this all over the news, over your social media, with 10, 11, 12-year-olds diving into Sephora and buying overpriced and real high-potency skincare and then applying it to their faces. Not only is the price point wrong, but often the ingredient profile of these products is completely inappropriate for the age and the skin issues that these people are going through. Whilst a lot of people are focusing their attention on parental responsibility and saying, really, it's the role of the parents to really be policing this, I actually think we're missing a whole section here, which is the brand's responsibility. I particularly take a look at Drunk Elephant, which seems to be the brand that's driving a lot of this consumerism. Drunk Elephant definitely have a part to play in this, and you're seeing quite a big backlash against the brand at the moment. And I think this whole 10-year-olds at Sephora experience could start to see the end of Drunk Elephant themselves. So sit back, relax, let's talk the downfall of Drunk Elephant. Now, before we get into this video, I would of course love to know your own thoughts on what we're talking about today. Whose side are you on? Who do you think's to blame for all of this? And who should be taking the accountability? Let me know in the comments section below. There is really no right or wrong here. I just really want to get that conversation going. This is a little bit of a divergence from the usual content that we film here on the channel, so if you enjoyed this style of video where we do a little bit of a look into trends and things that are happening in the beauty and skincare industry, let me know by giving the video a big thumbs up and a like. This is a great way of supporting me as a content creator because the more likes a video gets, the more widely YouTube will distribute it on its platform, and we do just need to get this message out there loud and clear. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking it apart into different sections. We're first going to touch on what the emerging issue is of some of the scandal itself. We're then going to come on to why I personally think Drunk Elephant should be held accountable and some of their actions that I think have led up to this. We're then going to end on a little segment about what is appropriate in terms of skincare when it comes to 10, 11, 12 and 13-year-olds. So if you're watching this thinking, I actually don't know what's right or wrong, what I should be using, shouldn't be using, that section at the end should hopefully help you out. I've timestamped everything in the description box below. So let's start with the road travelled so far. How did we get here? Well, you'll probably have seen a lot of the images recently of these preteens and teens dashing into Sephora and buying particularly Drunk Elephant. Now, there are some other brands that fit into this category too. They're spending hundreds of dollars on skincare, which in a lot of cases has far too high a concentration actives, far too potent for the age of the skin that they're applying it to. You know, when we're talking about 10, 11, 12-year-olds, the skin is much more sensitive. It doesn't also need some of these high-potency actives. We're talking about retinoids, which would be more applicable for 30, 40, 50-year-old skin. We're talking about, you know, high-potency exfoliating acids, which just aren't needed. I think a lot of what's driving this is, of course, the way that these brands are marketed online, either through the influencer community or through advertisements from these brands themselves. But you're seeing a huge spike in skincare spend amongst the 10, 11, 12-year-old demographic. And I think this should be concerning for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, it's just not needed. At the very worst case scenarios, it's just a waste of money. Actually, the other extreme end, it could be driving a lot of issues with the skin when, you know, young skin just doesn't need this level of high potency actives, which could be leading to sensitivity, irritation, and problems down the line. I'm actually a huge advocate of self-care, no matter what age you happen to be, you know, taking that moment for yourself and doing something that's just for you. And skincare plays a key part in that. But just reaching for any product on the shelf and applying it, believing it'll work for your skin and the age of your skin, just is the wrong approach. And so I'm glad that the media are starting to call this out, and hopefully we can turn the tide on it. What I think is a little bit disappointing is the media seems to be focusing down on this is a problem with parental control. Parents should be policing this and saying, absolutely not, you know, you should be buying this, I'm not giving you the money for it, and it stops here. And definitely that's a huge part of it, I get it. But I think this just lets the brands off the hook. Because don't forget, brands are profiting in the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars for this. And if you look, and this is what we're going to come on to in this section of the video, about how brands, particularly Drunk Elephant, have behaved, they've actually led to a lot of what is going on now. And of course, it's a huge issue with pressure put on parents, with kids wanting the latest viral thing, the thing that their friends have, you know, keeping up with the trends. And that pressure then feeds onto parents, which absolutely have a part to play. But I definitely think there's a role for influencers and for the brands themselves in making sure that their products really align and their marketing align to who they should be targeting rather than how to make that fast buck. And that's what we're going to come on to now. You're seeing an awful lot of backlash at the moment against Drunk Elephant, with people saying this could potentially be the downfall of the brand, that they're just not taking any accountability, and I think a lot of the gloss has come off the brand as a result of this. Now, try not to feel too sorry for Drunk Elephant, because their cash registers are ringing. They're raking in hundreds of millions of dollars off the back of this, so they're probably crying all the way to the bank. But I do think it's worth having that conversation to say, actually, you know what? Instead of just placing 100% of the blame, the accountability, and, you know, the way of policing this onto the parent, we should really be looking at the brands and what they're doing in the background. So Drunk Elephant as a brand emerged around 6 or 7 years ago, I think, and from the start, they've had a bit of a checkered past. They had a whole lot of issue early on with leaving quite aggressive responses to people online that said they weren't a big fan of their products. That's not how you do PR. You know, everyone's allowed to disagree with you and say, maybe I don't like the products as much as you guys do. You don't attack them. But they took that approach, and that definitely, I think, had a big impact on them early on. Of course, a lot of that's been forgotten. There's also anecdotally a lot of people saying that they delete negative comments and feedback on their website, which, to be honest, they're not going to be the only brand that are out there doing that, and it's quite hard to prove. But I definitely don't feel as a brand they're particularly open to critique or criticism. They kind of double down and go on the defensive. I actually experienced this very early on in my YouTube journey when I was reviewing one of the Drunk Elephant products, and I referred to it as overpriced tut. Now, I could have been more professional in my language, and I think, you know, we all grow as people. Now, I would probably say I think it's overpriced for the formulation that they're offering. I think that would be a more professional way of doing it. But I referred to it as overpriced tut. And honestly, I mean, could have been worded better, but it's true. And I did get quite a snotty email from someone from the brand, which in essence said, you know, I think we'll trust the millions of people that enjoy our products over, you know, your thoughts with your 5,000 subscribers, which is what I had, obviously, at the time. I was like, wow, that's not usually what you get from a brand. And like I say, I could have worded it better, but definitely I've been on the receiving end of some of this like negative defensive pushback tactics that they do, and it doesn't feel great, to be honest. I've got a thick skin, but it definitely made me think, Drunk Elephant maybe aren't the good guys in the skincare industry that people want them to believe that they are. And then we come to this whole issue of the 10-year-olds taking over Sephora. So where I think Drunk Elephant are accountable is you really need to think as a brand how you pitch your products and make sure that they align to the demographic that really they're applicable for. So if you've got a high potency retinoid, which Drunk Elephant do with their A Passione retinoid cream, you really need to be pitching that at the late 30s, 40s and 50s market. The sort of people that are going to benefit from this product probably do actually need it in terms of their skincare routine. But if you look throughout any of the marketing which Drunk Elephant do, it's all very much geared to a much younger demographic. From the colour palette that they choose, you know, from the bold, the preppy colours, through to the way that they advertise their smoothies as like a way of doing a one-stop shop for your skincare routine. I'm going to come on to the smoothies in a second because I think that's a whole different issue. But the way that they pitch it is very much geared to a younger demographic. Now, the reason I think this is important is recently we had a bit of an issue here in the UK where one well-known brand of like laundry conditioner started to sell their products in these little pearls. I'll leave an image of it here. So to sell these products in these little pearls. And a lot of people were like, but they look just like sweets. They look exactly like those little million sweets things that you get in the, you know, in the store. And really, is that responsible when kids coming across that, you know, young kids coming across that would just think, ah, sweets, and eat it. There's a whole pushback on that saying, really, you need to think harder when you're looking at what you're creating, making sure that it's actually applicable to the people that you're targeting and that it fits the safety requirements. And I think this is where Drunk Elephant just fall flat. There is nothing on any of their advertising or any of their literature that says, you know, using their high potency retinoid, their super high potency chemical peels, that these aren't for, you know, really young skin. These should be for this age or that. It's really hard to navigate. They're just all lumped together. You also see this in their advertising. So if you go onto their, you know, their TikTok channel or their Instagram and you look at the influencers and the models that they're using, they look ridiculously young. And there's an image here of, this is just the latest one that's taken from their TikTok. Ridiculously young. Now, I don't personally know how old this model is. She's beautiful. She's got gorgeous skin. I can completely understand why she would be used as a model in in a skincare ad. But it's quite hard to know how old she is. You know, she could absolutely be appealing to the 13-year-old that's wanting to buy into that look and have that overall look. Most likely she's in her 20s, but she definitely looks younger. And I think this is where it's key. If you're presenting your products and the people that are advertising your products look younger than perhaps they are, then absolutely what you're doing is feeding into this narrative that these products are great for people that might be 10, 11, 12, 13 and want to buy into this goal, into this vision. They've also created this cult of the smoothie, which is where you take one of their moisturizers, you pump a little bit up, and then you just throw everything else in, mix it together, and slap it onto your skin. This, just when it comes to skincare, is a terrible idea because not every, active works alongside every other active. And whilst Drunk Elephant say that all of their products are compatible in terms of formulation and they won't split and separate if you do this, doesn't mean that you should use them all together. Using, for example, the high potency peel alongside a retinol mixed together in this, terrible idea. Same way using their vitamin C, which is pH sensitive, in this smoothie. Bad idea, you'll just get less potency from it. These skincare smoothies are a terrible idea, and I covered this in a recent video, which I'm going to leave a link to up there. Check that shorts video out, because if you read the comments underneath, loads of people in their teens and early 20s saying, you're wrong, the brand says it's fine, it's okay. And I don't know where this sort of cult around Drunk Elephant really emerged, because they're not a great brand in terms of trustworthiness. Look at the way they attacked people early on in their journey. That's not what good brands do. But somehow they've cultivated this good guy image where everything they do is amazing and they should be trusted. This just isn't the case. And I think, this idea that we should do something just because a brand says it, I don't know where this comes from. You look through human history. Brands definitely have a tendency to lie and to play down issues. Whether you're going back to the 20s where the US Radium Corporation was using radium in their face creams and saying it's absolutely fine, don't worry about it. People dropping dead all over the place, losing teeth, losing eyes. Don't worry about it, it's absolutely safe and healthy for the skin. And then, of course, it was proven to be completely inappropriate to use in a face cream. Right the way through to the Mario Badescu scandal that I saw that they were putting banned and undisclosed steroids in their products, leading to vision loss, topical steroid withdrawal, and they were always saying, no, these are fine, products are fine, until they were actually found legally culpable for what they were doing. Then they had to admit there was a problem. Until that point, they said it was fine. Now, obviously, I don't think anything in the Drunk Elephant, smoothies are going to have those significant impacts. But the idea that we would just blindly follow a brand that they say it's okay, and therefore it is, I don't know where this cult-like mentality has really come about with Drunk Elephant. And again, this is feeding in to those 10, 11, 12-year-olds that just aren't open to the challenge that maybe this brand might not be giving you the very best advice. And you'll see this with a lot of the pushback that Drunk Elephant give online. Overall, for me, when it comes to Drunk Elephant, I think their marketing, their smoothie, which comes as part of that, their packaging, the way that they select models and influencers to promote their products, all aligns with a much younger demographic. And as a result, they're raking in the dollars. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars on the back of this, and they don't seem to care. At any point, they could have stepped in and said, you know what, let's put some age profiles on our products. Let's make it clearer who these are actually applicable for. They don't care. They're just happy that those cash registers are ringing. I definitely think that influencers as well are not completely, absolved of any responsibility in this. Making sure that the products that you endorse, that you promote, that you sponsor are absolutely, it's clear who could benefit from them, who they might not be beneficial for. That's really part of this, but I think that's kind of got lost in this conversation. For me, it's really easy to blame the parents, to say they're the ones that have the purse strings that are giving the money, they're the ones that should be controlling this. And absolutely, there's a huge part of that. But I think that's a lot easier said than done when you've got these brands piling on the advertising, piling on this smoothie, selling the ideal to kids who obviously want to fit in and want to keep with that trend. That pressure then gets applied to parents, and I can kind of see how this ends up happening. In truth, I think Drunk Elephant are just as responsible in all of this as the parents, and I think rightly they're starting to be called out for some of their behaviour. Their products are, I said it early on, overpriced tut. Do I think, having had a few more years of experience on YouTube, how would I phrase it now? I think I'd probably say, whilst some of their formulations are actually okay, if you apply them to the right skin, the right age, some of their formulations are actually okay. I just think across the board that they're overpriced and you can get far better options at the drugstore than what you're getting from Drunk Elephant. There's nothing special bar some fancy, colourful marketing and packaging, which is really what they're selling their brand on. So in this section of the video, if you're thinking, well, what can I use? If I'm a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old, or maybe I'm a parent of that demographic, what should that age group be using? Well, you know what? I absolutely think it's fine for anyone of any age to be involved in skincare. It's a great way of showing a bit of self-care, self-love, doing something for you, but just making sure that the products that you reach for are appropriate. You know, reaching for a super gentle cleanser that's nice and affordable, doesn't have any actives in, is just a really nice cleanser, is a great way of introducing someone to skincare, giving them a nice experience, feeling that they're doing something for them, but not risking the huge amounts of sensitivity and skin issues down the line. There are lots of really nice cleansers on the market that aren't packed full of actives, and a lot of these preppy brands actually offer them. You know, one of my favorites, which comes from Elf, they do a great range of cleansers. I also really love Bubble as a brand, and they have some gentle cleansers too. You know, you don't have to reach for the high potency actives. They're not always applicable for every age demographic. But if someone shows some interest in skincare and kind of wants to get involved in that, having a really nice, gentle cleanser is a great way of doing that. Same way going for a really gentle moisturizer, forget the actives, just go for the hydration. It could work. It's that piece of, you know, self-care that can be really important. I don't think we should be demonizing, you know, anyone for wanting to get involved in skincare and wanting to enjoy the skincare experience. I just think brands have a responsibility to make sure that their products are properly marketed, advertised, and it's clear for who they best work for, rather than just accepting that coin and, you know, to heck with the responsibilities of, you know, being responsible as a brand owner. Hopefully in this video I've been able to share that, but let me know your thoughts, feelings, opinions. Are you, you know, do you think 100% this is with the parents? Do you like me? Do you think it's more 50-50? Do you think drunk elephants should be held accountable? I would love to know. So sound off in the comments section below. Wherever you are in the world, guys. Stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye.